We are live with Aja Evans. She is a money therapist, a financial therapist, and also the author of this new book, Feel Good Finance. Untangle your relationship with money for better mental, emotional, and financial well-being. I am Nakia Drummond. I am founder of The Well and of She's Well Networked. We are a community that really is all things supporting Black women business owners. And Lord knows if we don't have our money feeling good and our a good mindset around our finances, it travels into the work that we do as business owners and certainly impacts us in that space as well. So, but if we do have our money game strong in our head, mentally fit around our money, that also travels into our in our businesses as well. And so I thought this was an important conversation to have because I know I personally have had a very complex relationship with money, with finances, that I've felt in every space of my life, and definitely in my business. I tell people all the time, business will show you yourself like nothing else other than motherhood. Business and motherhood will show you yourself. And so this being Financial Literacy Month, we are still on time as this is the last day of Financial Literacy Month. So what better way to wrap up this month than to have a rich, vulnerable, beautiful conversation about money, about finance, and about this book here. So if you have not gotten it, get it. If you have it, I hope you are reading it. And if you haven't read it, I hope that today's conversation inspires you to pick it up and to not just read it, but to incorporate the challenges, the strategies into your life. But yeah, let's get started, Aja. So, why this book? Why Feel Good Finances? Why was it the right time to put it out? How did you even how did you get to, you know what, I need to write a book?
Yeah, it's a journey, as is everything with entrepreneurship, because you're right. Like it really, when you own a business, it teaches you about yourself and exposes parts of yourself that you didn't know existed for the good and the bad, quite honestly. So, it all started because I thought to myself, hey, I am gonna blog for my business. I'm working on my SEO. Let me get my website out there. I'm gonna blog. I had always been somebody who liked keeping a journal. A long time ago growing up, I was like, oh, I'd love to write a book, but I always wrote about myself. So kind of, I was like, I don't know, I don't need a memoir. Like nobody cares
Right.
about my life in this way. So the idea was there. I just didn't understand what it could look like as an adult. So in my process of blogging, I hired a writing coach to kind of keep me honest. And because I had no idea what you needed to be a writer, who's a writer, you need to have English degree or understand all these components of grammar. And honestly, I haven't shared this, but in my freshman or sophomore year of college, I remember they suggested I take like a one course, like grammar course. And I
Mhm.
was after that, I had in my brain that I'm bad at grammar. So I was like,
Mhm.
there's no way I can be a writer. I can't put myself out there without help. So I hired this writing coach. Long story short, kept me honest, kept me accountable. I hated blogging. I did not like it. I did it. And in our process of talking, I had mentioned her very in passing, like, hey, one day I want to write a book. And she was like working with me in my writing. And then just so randomly, July of 2022, she was like, let me know when you're ready to write that book, Asia. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I just said yes. Um,
Wow.
I literally just said yes. I don't know what came over me. I didn't even know what I was going to be talking about, had no clue. But that really was the catalyst and the push to start the process. And in that process of creating book proposal, Feel Good Finance came to fruition for me. And this book really was about setting the foundation of how we understand our relationship with money. I felt like there are tons of things that I want to write about, and I hope to and plan to, but we could not like put the cart before the horse. Like I wanted to make sure people understood why their relationship looked like this with money, why you couldn't stick to your budget, why you felt guilty about your debt, why you kept going shopping wherever it was. You're like all of the nuts and bolts about the things that can be really challenging with our money. And I
Mhm.
wanted to just lay a foundation with Feel Good Finance. And I created a book proposal and worked on that and then shopped it around. Again, I have no connections in the book publishing world. I didn't know what I was doing. I
Mhm.
told myself, because I'm the queen of just try. Just try, put it out there, just say yes. If it fails, but at least you try. Do everything in your power to just try to get it out there. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, you're exactly where you were before, and that's okay. So I said I was going to shop it out to 20 editors, publishers, pretty much anybody who would look at it who publishes books, 20 of them, and I would get enough feedback to understand if this could be a real book or not.
Mhm.
And in that 20, Ben Bella was like, hey, we love this. We love your voice. We love this book. We would love to put your book out in the world and traditionally publish it. And I almost fell over because that was this second or third meeting I had had. And
Mhm.
my insecurity told me that it was always going to be my writing. Oh, it's your writing, something about your writing. Like, do you know nobody had anything to say about my writing? The other two
Mhm.
agents that I met with just said that I didn't have a big enough platform,
Uh-huh.
which is, a lot of social media or just being known. But Ben Bella was like, yeah, no, this is an important book. We want to publish it. And then that led 2 years later in a book deal and 50,000 words later. Then we had Feel Good Finance. So yeah, that's how it came to fruition. Just
That's
trying.
that's amazing. So I actually want to start at the end, not of the book per se, but of your process
Mhm.
to, this journey. What have you learned about finances since writing the book?
Yeah. Well, I would say this book is like a culmination of like 10 years of me just reading money books and thinking about money and seeing my clients and thinking about myself. So this was all stuff that I was already sitting with very
Mhm.
consistently. But one thing sticks out to me, um, and I wrote about it in the book, pretty early on in the book. So I talk about I think it's like kind of the first time that I felt different in terms of like finances and what was going on was probably around middle school. And I grew up in the city of Albany, but I went to school in the suburbs. And in the suburbs, your houses look different. In the suburbs, you may have a driveway. In the suburbs, you have a big lawn or a backyard. I grew up in the city in a brownstone, so I was street parking. Like we had a very small backyard because both my parents are from New York City, so they liked that aesthetic. Um, but what I didn't know at the time, and this is what I learned about when I was like putting this all together, I thought that we were not as well off as
Mhm.
people were because we didn't have a two-car garage, because we didn't have a huge sprawling lawn or a pool or a big trampoline. I did not put together, I was like, Asia, you were the wealthier kid in your class. It just didn't look that way because you
Mhm.
lived in the city. And the
Mhm.
wealth signifier in my like young little middle school mind was like your house looks bigger, not
Mhm.
what the money looks like to
Mhm.
have said house. And
Mhm.
when I started to put together, I was like, thinking about just the different jobs. And it's a lovely area to grow up in, but a lot of people have blue collar jobs. And both of my parents worked for the government, were like doing very well in the government, state workers, which is very normal and very average for like upstate New York. But I was like, oh, I'm like upper middle class. I did not know that
Mhm.
until I was like putting all these things together. I'm like, Asia, you felt different, not to mention I grew up in predominantly white institutions, just in general. So I was like one of few black kids, one of few black girls, what that meant, like, beauty standards, which I all go into in the book too. But that was something about my story that in the process of writing, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
And I wonder how other people may have even reinforced that you were under, you weren't privileged or that you didn't have money because you were Black.
100%. Or because I was in the city of Albany and
Yeah,
I
or because you
had
lived in
like
the city, right? Like that other people reinforced that whole idea. to you, and then you were, using the whole like what my house looks
Mhm.
like versus theirs, and built
Yep.
on that. That's really interesting that
As
you.
a kid, right? Because you're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
into it. And
yeah.
then what was also like really like messing with me, and I'll never forget this. My parents had to dress up for work.
Hmm.
So my dad was coming in suits every time coming to get me. My mom was coming in suits. Ugh, do you remember those cute little suits? They have like cute little skirt and a blazer.
Hmm.
Bring them
with
back.
with shoulder
Shoulder
pads.
pads, yes. Yes. All
Yes,
of it. A scarf
yes,
too, all of it.
yes,
Like
yes.
this is how I grew
And
up.
pantyhose
Every day. Every
every day.
day. A
Yeah,
sneaker, a shoe to change into. Yes,
yes,
that is
yes.
very much so my upbringing. Um, so then kids would see that. And then kids would be like, Asia, why do you guys have three cars?
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. My dad owns an extra business on top of his 9 to 5. Like, that's just what needs to happen for my family kind of thing. That's just normal. So that was a very interesting thing. And I'll never forget this guy in my class. We're young, and he's like, Asia, you're a ditz with a credit card. I'm like, what? And it's a line from Clueless, but I just didn't. So on one hand, you're like the black kid, and people assume that your family's not doing well. On the other hand, wealth signifiers of your parents coming in dressed up. You have these cars. You
Yeah,
are a sweat credit card. And I was like, I'm stuck in the middle. I don't know. I'm
yeah,
confused.
yeah. That's so interesting. So, did you grow up feeling good about money? So that's one question. And then the second part of that is, the name of your book is Feel Good Finances. What does it mean to feel good about finances?
Yeah, so I will say I did grow up feeling good about money. It wasn't until probably high school, college that just circumstances had changed.
Mm,
Um, my parents got divorced when I was 10. Everything was still fine. Then around high school, my mom left the state job, which is, major income, and then shifted work. And that is what I felt the most.
mm,
So it wasn't until high school, college, and then when I was trying to manage my own finances as like a young adult, 20 something, which I also write about in the book in New York City, that's when I'll say when my financial trauma was
mm,
really happening in my life was probably being a broke college student, what that meant, having like four different jobs, trying to make it work. That was more traumatic to me than my childhood financial situation. So like those memories are still fresh. That wasn't that long ago.
mm.
Like,
Yeah, no, and it resonated with me too because I think that you hear a lot about when you hear like money trauma or like people just having like bad relationships with money. I think most people assume that it is for lack of having, right, growing up or whatever. But what I picked up from what you were writing, I think there is. I know for me, I tell people all the time, like my 20s were like the shattering of all types of illusions, right? Which is a type of heartbreak that is real.
yes,
So
yes,
anybody who had a whole decade of shattered illusions, feel free to chime in the chat. But for me, not, sort of having what I needed growing up and having what I wanted and being able to just ask for it. And the illusion then, because I did not see what felt like a lot of hardship, was that you grow up and you have all the things, right? And it's all like it's fine and it's easy. You go to college, you get your job, and you do all the things right. And then therefore you can afford all the things that you want, and life just kind of rolls into place in that way. And yes, so I that resonated with me from, what you wrote, that, everybody's like slap in the face for money isn't just about, sort of growing up without. And not that, we were rich at all, but like
comfortable.
I was comfortable. I had things I wanted, whatever. I did not feel the strain. But what does it mean then to like feel good about our finances? Because clearly you and I were not in our 20s.
Wasn't.
And I will say that tracked with me right through like 2 days ago. I don't know, maybe a
Yeah.
week ago, where I think it was honestly like, yeah, it was 2022, where I was saying to a friend, I'll know I made it, or I'll feel good about like what I've done, where I am when I can take my mother on a trip.
Mhm.
And she said to me, I bet you could do that now. And I'm like, what?
Impossible.
Yeah, like no way. How, what do you mean? Like, huh? And she's like, I bet you could take your mother on a trip now. And it was like a consideration that I never had, that like I literally could take my mother on a trip. I literally did take my mother on a trip as a result of that conversation, but was so far in my mind from believing that that was possible at that time. And it just started unraveling a few other things. And, you know, you mentioned something in the book too that like triggered this thought for me too, that, oh, you were talking about epigenetics, right? And how we carry other people's trauma in our DNA. Like that is scientifically proven, like, you know, other your mother, your grandmother, like whomever. And up until a couple of years ago, and this might, yeah, this was 2023, I remember saying out loud, and then that was the first time I could process it, didn't even realize it before. I was like, I feel every day like I am a single mother of four
Ooh.
who
Mm.
has to like get it done, get it out the mud every day of my life, or we may be evicted and homeless. Not my story.
Yeah, I
Never
was like,
been
I
my
know that's not your
story.
story because we talk.
Yeah, never been my story, not my mother's story. I honestly don't know whose mess that is still, but I felt like a single mother of four. And it was not, and it was not until like I was able to name that, say that aloud, and think about it over and over that I like started to like some stuff started to unravel with like the way in which I navigated my day to day.
Yeah.
So I was not feeling good about money or finances. What does it mean to feel good about it?
Yeah. So, and I'm going to go back to that too in a second.
Yep.
But what it means to me to feel good about your finances is to not feel intimidated by your finances, not feel scared of your finances, not be delusional about your finances, to own what is actually going on and feel like you are capable of doing the things that you need to do and can do the things that you need to do to be in whatever financial state it is that you want to be in. So if it's important to you to grow your wealth, you believe that you can. You believe that you can find the correct information, make the money moves that you need to make to be able to grow your wealth in a way that feels really good to you. To not be worried
Yeah.
about your money or your lifestyle or your safety or survival because your money is you are protecting your money and your money is protecting you. The same way they say, like all the time in personal finance, when you take care of your money takes care of you. Money has no emotions, it is just a tool. We attach the emotions to it because it does give us access to things that are very, very, very important to us. So it's I want people to feel good with their finances because sometimes we do need to check our money baggage. We need to understand it. And that's what this book really is about. Understanding your money baggage so that you can dissolve it, know that you're going to be walking around with bits and pieces of it, but it's not weighing you down and hindering you from accomplishing your goals. And that is really what I want for people, especially Black women. I think we are capable of all things, and I hate that our money baggage is holding us back or the things that are going on with us. Like, and there's a lot of things going on with us, and we carry a lot, but I don't want our mental health, our self-esteem, um, unhealthy coping strategies to be the thing that's hindering us from getting this money and growing it at the same time.
Yeah. So you said not being scared, intimidated, or delusional about your finances. That's like signs of, you know, feeling good about your finances. And like you also mentioned the idea that like you know how to grow, like you feel confident in how to grow your finances. So, and you also mentioned money having no emotions. So I wanted to pause on that because when I read that in the book, I was like, huh, interesting. What came up for me was I've heard many, you know, sort of whether it's theories or principles that money is an energy, money is a currency, right? Like, so money is currency, so it is energy, and that you attract or repel this energy. And that for me has also, when I read you saying money has no emotions, how it was like, it was prickly for me because I'm like, huh, I've had, many years, I would say probably close to 20 now, where I have believed or heard the idea of like money being an energy, and that if I have or don't have or whatever, it's about like an energy that I'm bringing and repelling or attracting money, which comes with this whole nother set of feelings
Mhm.
and emotions based on, sort of whether you're attracting it or repelling it at the time. So I wanted you to, sort of pause there around the money has no emotions, because there's a lot out there about like, you know, the soul of money and money as an energy and all of
Yeah,
those
I
things.
think so. Here's the thing. Listen, I'm a little woo-woo too, right? So I'll get into it. I like it. I think it's important. I 100% believe in the importance of understanding abundance and manifesting things. But I also think that it's very easy to say that you're manifesting things, like you're saying it or you're believing it, but you're actually not like living it. And
Mm,
that I think is the same way that I would put like money is an energy, money has a soul. Now, I'm not going to dispute if people believe that. I love that for them. That works. If that works for you, keep it going. Do not have me poking holes in something that is working for you. Keep
mm,
that. But what I will say is that I don't think money can have an energy without people attached to it.
mm,
If people are not engaging with the money and thinking about the money, I would almost believe that we are giving it the energy. We are
mm,
providing the soul of it. And
mm,
if you want to get deeper into that, that can be twisted around in terms of understanding, like, oh, am I repelling money? To me, if you're repelling money, that's just you being money avoidant. It's the
mm,
same thing, but that is like your energy is impacting your ability to see if you have abundance or not, or to live in scarcity.
mm,
So I don't know if money itself has the energy, but I do believe that we have the energy and can give that energy to money. Um, and that's kind of the way I would think about it, because I think I think humans are so powerful, and we do not use as much power as we have in many different ways.
yeah.
And I think a lot of times we want to believe that things are just going to happen to us because they should happen
Mm,
to us.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, and maybe this is part about my beliefs and my own system, but I'm like, yeah, everything should happen to you. I fully believe that every single human being deserves. You just
mm-hmm,
deserve because you're a human. I fully believe that. But just because you deserve does not mean it's going to just happen. Like you
yeah.
need to create the momentum to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I think about it.
I love that. And it feels like really empowering, right? That if you are repelling money, then looking into like how you're being avoidant with money, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because yeah, like it makes total sense. Like if I'm avoiding it and I'm not getting it, like I'm not getting it because I'm avoiding it. Like
Correct.
yeah,
Correct. And I
that,
think it
that
can be
cause and effect, that flow of cause and effect feels much more empowering, and like you can do something about that than like this is just happening to me.
right, and not understanding why. And that's where I kind of take a little issue with it. Like, oh, well, you're repelling money. And you're like, well, what do you mean? No, I'm not. I want it to come to me. What? Like, what do
Yeah,
you mean repelling
yeah.
money? Let's flip that. Like, are you being money avoidant? And somebody's like, what does that even mean? Are you, and I'll give you a few examples. Are you accepting the first offer from your job salary because you
Mm,
don't want to negotiate, because it feels too hard to have a conflict, to just
mhm,
ask for what you want, to ask for what you need? Are you not asking about a raise? Are you not asking about if, whenever that time of year comes, when everybody's going through their check-ins, your audits, your performance evaluations, you better believe if you're going to be out here rating my work, I'm also going to be out here asking for some more money. Like
yeah,
those conversations should be hand in hand. So
right.
I think when we think about money avoidance, we're like, I'm not repelling money. I want it. No, no, no. Are you creating the momentum
Yeah.
to then make it happen?
And then as business owners, because I think most people hear that, um, are you, raising your prices when the cost of goods are going up or the things that you need, like, or are you keeping your prices low or just saying like, fine, I'll do it for this much because you don't want to have that conversation. You don't want people to feel away or you feel like they're going to walk away and you won't get the business. And sort of that is also that's also not negotiating, right? And not going after what you feel like you're worth. So thank you, love that. And then I saw Shannon in the chat, you deserve because you're a human plus create the momentum, so that resonated with her as well. So thank you for that. I'm already I'm definitely feeling the age of the therapist vibes coming through. So absolutely appreciate that. So what are some signs then that we talked about a couple, like being money avoidant, like you're not negotiating, you're not asking for the raise, but what are some other signs that folks have unhealed, money wounds or relationships with money, and how might they show up in our day to day and in our businesses or our relationships with our business and our or jobs for those of us
Yeah.
who have.
So money avoidance, I think, is the biggest one that I see, right? So that is very easy. Other ones, if you feel like you are going through the same exact patterns over and over and over and over again. So perfect example, I just had a consultation call with a woman this earlier this week, and she was telling me, she's like, Asia, I made this certain financial goal. And she didn't tell me what the goal is, but she was like, I made this financial goal 5 years ago.
Mhm,
And I have been working, her air quotes, not mine,
mhm,
on this goal over and over and over again for the last 5 years. And
mhm,
I cannot do this by myself. That to me is a perfect example of something else is blocking you. If you
mhm,
find that you are like, I'm going to stick to this budget, I couldn't do it that month, and 6 months, a year are rolling by, and you're still struggling, this is not about the numbers, babe. This is about something else. We need
mhm,
to get deeper into something else. So, finding yourself repeating patterns over and over and over again, avoiding your money, whatever that may look like, over and over again, just feeling bad
mhm,
about your money over and over and again. And a big one, and I will say this for entrepreneurs, when you constantly feel like you are moving the goalpost. Oh,
mhm,
when I get to this level of business, I'll be happy. When I'm charging this rate, I'll be happy. When I get flown out to do this beautiful speaking engagement, I'll be happy. It is always a when, and you keep getting to that point, but you do not feel like anything is different.
mhm,
That is
mhm.
not about the numbers, that's about you. And we
Oh,
have to kind of take, we got to take that into consideration and see what needs to shift and change.
stepping on toes. Stepping on toes. I'm just gonna say you are stepping on toes. So, okay, you've named a few of those things. And how do you support people or how does the book, I would say, um, where in the book would you tell people to go that says they're like, yep, you named something for me. Where do I go in this book today? Because I don't want to start at the beginning. I want to start like right where you stepped on my toes to help me unpack,
Yep.
that thing that you've identified for me and like what I should do next. Where do you
Yes.
tell them to go?
So if you find yourself that it's never enough, that you want more, you're like the hedonic treadmill is what it's called. Like more, more. It's never enough. I don't know what this is. I'm literally grab the book to look. You're gonna start at chapter 5. I need the fucking pumpkins. That chapter, as well as keeping up with the Joneses, are both specifically trying to get at what about you? What about your self-esteem is impacting what you now do about your money? What
Mm,
about how you cope with your feelings is impacting what you do about your money? Um, and the thing about my book is I mean, I think it's a great book, but it's not the kind of book that you're going to sit and be like, okay, I'm going to sip my tea. It's a Sunday. I'm just going to sit for 4 hours and read it. And you
right.
can just read it in like 4 or 5 hours, depending upon your speed. But
Mhm,
that's not what the book is designed for. The book is
Mhm.
designed for you to be like, oh, damn, Asia just stepped on my toes. I feel upset. I'm mad at you. I feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, and I ask in every last chapter a reflection question. What is coming up?
Mhm.
What is going on? Because it's not about me, it's about you. Now you work on what's coming up and what's happening. I want people to feel uncomfortable. Like this book is meant to make you feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but it's also meant to hold your hand while
Mhm.
you feel uncomfortable. It is meant to make sure that you understand that you are not the only person who's gone through this when you
Mhm.
are uncomfortable. And to say it's okay that you feel that way, I just want you to be able to move through it so you can do all the things you want to do with your money.
Yep. So what's on the other side, right? So I read the book or I read
Yep.
chapter
Boo-hoo,
5,
go through the emotions.
right? I
Yep.
go through the emotions, I do the exercises. What's your hope for people, or what is the like the value in like leaning in this way? Because on some level, even if I feel bad about my money or it's never enough or I'm always moving the goalposts, whatever the case. As on some level, like I think all of these like go back to some like avoidance in some way, right? Because whether if I'm being avoidant with money or I'm being avoidant with myself, and the discomfort that, sort of digging in around this makes me feel. What Tell me what this process is going to be. Like I'm going to lean in, I'm going to like feel very uncomfortable. I'm going to maybe throw the book across the room.
You're gonna cry, you're gonna make some notes, you're gonna journal and be like, what is going on? God, why am I triggered right now? This is what's happening. This is what's coming up. This is what I feel in my body. Okay, what do I need to start doing to make sure that this is not messing with my money anymore? That this isn't messing with me anymore? So that when I do get that beautiful six-figure contract, I am not wasting it on nonsense, but I am like, okay, strategic. How do I take care of my past? How do I take care of my present? How do I take care of my future? And now I feel really good because my money is working for me. I'm creating all this abundance. I am thriving in my business. I'm not upset. Where before you would have taken that six-figure contract, gone into a whole mess, go, we all know what we do with our money, right? We
Or,
know.
and I love that you mentioned this in your book too, or Scrooge McDuck it, I call, right? Where you don't want to spend any of it because you're like,
I'm
is this
hoarding it.
ever going to happen again? Or like, I need to just,
Mhm.
squirrel it away. So you also talk about that person in your book too. And I
Chapter
love that
7.
because
Like,
yeah, because the single mother of four who might get kicked out of her house is not really going buying all the things, but she's also not like enjoying her life, right? Like the fruits of her labor. Um, and so, I love that you address that as well in the book.
and this is like I when I say feel good finance, it is so that you can feel good now and know that you're going to be okay. Because to your point, on the flip side of, hey, I'm overspending or spending too much, are the people who aren't spending enough and the people who are really struggling to enjoy their life because they feel like money is going to only be the thing that's going to secure them, only going to be the thing that's going to provide them security. And I think I talk about it in the book too. And I have a friend and I saw her dad recently, and I talk about her dad in the book where he was like, Asia, I spent the last 30 or 40 years working and saving up and worrying about my retirement. And it was really difficult for him to retire. And he
Mhm.
finally did. And now he's like, I'm just supposed to spend the money. And I'm like, yeah, yes, you are. You
Mm.
you worked so hard to be able to amass this amount of money and this wealth so that you can spend the money. And I'm not saying go blow it, but I'm
Yeah,
like, if you want to go take the dream trip to Napa with your
right,
wife, take the dream trip. You can afford it. Now, this is not always the case for everybody, right?
right.
But it is the case for him. And he's like, he's like, I can't do it. Like, I don't know how to even spend this money. And that is what feel good finance is. Like, I don't want you to feel like you can't spend the money. I want you to take care of future you, have a blast while you're living within your means, and do all the things that make you feel good. If that means, throwing a birthday party for your grandkid, great. I love that. Do that. Or taking your mom on a trip, do that. But figure out how much money you need to have accessible to feel secure and
Yeah.
stable, and then don't move the goalpost. Um,
Yeah.
because we don't need that much. Like, if you know where your money is coming and where it's going, and you
Yeah.
have enough money to feel secure, it like it does not need to, like, $100,000 in the bank account is a lot of money,
Yeah.
even if you're spending a lot of money. So
So, you're the second money coach, money writer that I've heard say, speak to the idea of like not needing that much. The other person is, and I'm trying to, her first name is Paris, and I cannot, Paris Woods. Her book is The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom. But so I had a conversation with Paris, and she was, saying the same thing. I said something about whatever amount of money, and she's like, do you need that? And I was like, I think I do. I need that amount of money. But so it's interesting that you spoke to, like, we really don't need as much as we think we need. So like, where does that come from then? The idea that we need much more than we do, and how do we back ourselves out of that?
so it's a little complex, but what I will say is I think a lot of times wealth signifiers get in our way of actually creating wealth.
Hmm.
So, whatever the lifestyle looks like, and you can build up a beautiful, beautiful lifestyle. Like, I'll never forget, I was calling about my student loans, and just to like check in on them. And she's like, "How much money do you make a month?"
Hmm.
And I told her the number, and she was like,
Hmm.
"Wait, what?" And I was like, "Oh." I'm like, to me, my life is expensive. And I don't mind sharing. Like, it's $10,000 is what it costs my household, my life,
Hmm.
mortgage, all of it. Which to me is a lot of money. For some people, they're like, it could be higher, and that's fine. But really, what this is about is understanding what you actually need and what enough is. Now,
Yeah.
could I increase my lifestyle? Like, I would love to increase my lifestyle about $5,000 a month. Um,
Hmm.
and that is just nonsense, right? Like, some of it is just, I want to make sure that I'm getting my nails done all the time. I want to make sure that I'm getting regular haircuts. I want to go out to dinner with my family of four. I also want to go out to dinner with just my husband. I also want to go out to dinner with my friends. You see the trend
Hmm.
here, right? Like,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
that's kind of like the life I live. I want to travel. I have access to beautiful things. But
Hmm.
I think what happens is that you can just inflate to more and more and more and more and more and more and more
Yeah.
and more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, very quickly. I think somebody said to me, I think it was Money with Katie, not to me, but she was talking about it. And she was like, I want you to do an exercise and try to spend $150,000 a month. And like, you get to a certain amount of money, and then it becomes hard to spend that much money. And
Mm.
really, what you're doing is like, oh, I got a massive house or things like that. We
Right.
just don't need all of that. So question is really about, who is this for? Um,
Mm.
why do I need this? Is this about my ego? Is this about healing something? What
Mhm.
is this about? Who is this for?
Mhm.
Um, and that is the question I don't think we ask enough of. I think a lot of us are trying to heal past wounds through spending money, through, you know, through, this person looks at me like this because I have this. This person thinks this about who I am because they see me doing this. Like, that is not for you. That is for other people. So what do we need to do for us to be like, yeah, I mean, this is how I live. This is what I'm happy with my life. This is not for anybody else. I do not think people need $10 million homes to be happy with themselves.
Yeah. And plenty of people have them and are not, right?
And that's the
And
point.
commit
A lot of
suicide
people
in
have it.
$10 million homes.
Correct. And
But
they're miserable. They're so upset. The amount of people I know with millions upon millions and millions of dollars who are absolutely miserable is just sad and astonishing, honestly. They're not happy.
hmm. So what is going to make us happy, Asia?
I know.
So so I mean, I think that so one, I know that community is a big, piece of joy and happiness. I believe. And I also know that we deal with money, particularly in our community, not in community. Hell, we don't even deal with it in family, right? Like it is such a like personal, and it comes with like the shame things, these elements of shame and whatever. So how do you or what do you say the role of community is in healing our like money mess?
Yep.
And so that, we can feel good about finances together, because then there are those of us who may have, be on a decent financial track, but you're in community with people who aren't. So then there's the shame of like, I don't want to make them feel bad. Like there's so many layers to, the
Yes.
like not discussing it, but we don't do it, right? So, but we also know that community is such a great healing place, right? And so, how do we bring these conversations into our families and into our communities so that we can feel good about finances together?
Yeah, so I have many things to say about this. And one, I'll start in the beginning. I think that while you are trying to feel good about your finances, community is going to help you feel more seen in the process. So I am always going to promote talking to your partner about the finances, knowing what's going on in your finances at home. I don't care if one person manages the money. I don't care if one person's making all the money, but I need both people to understand what's happening with the money. Um, that's a version of community. Friendships. If you know you're like, hey, I'm really stressed about work right now. I'm really stressed about the business. What's going to happen? I've got all these ideas. I don't know. I feel like a mess because I'm like running this huge race and I don't even know what I'm running it for and like what's going on. That's community, being able to talk to a friend, being able to talk to another fellow business owner and be like, did you try this? Do you know what you're doing? What am I doing? What should I do? How can I do it? That's community. That's very, very, very important. Um, when we feel a lot of shame around whatever it is, especially dealing with our money, shame about past mistakes, shame about not making enough, sometimes making too much. For some people, they feel very shameful about the amount of money that they're making. But when you connect to another person, when you connect to community, when you feel seen, that breaks up shame. That breaks up isolation and allows you to feel better just being in your skin versus feeling like you need to just do it all alone
Mhm.
and by yourself. And once you do get to the point of feeling good about your finances, you're killing it, you're doing great, you're living your best life. Honestly, statistically, women give back to their communities at higher rates with their money. That is community. Whether it is just your family, that's community. Um, Pouring back in whatever way is community. Today, I thought to myself, I have a friend whose husband has been out of work for some time now, and it's very stressful for them. And I thought to myself, God, I cannot wait to be able to make it to a point where I can be like, hey, I'll pay your mortgage this month. Don't be weird about it. It's not a thing. I have it and I want to do this for you. And it gives me goosebumps because like that's what I want to do. Like that's my dream to be like, yeah, I want to go on a trip and I want to take my parents and friends and stuff, but like honey, if you're having a hard time, like let me peel this off for you. That sounds great to me.
Right.
And that is where community is. And honestly, we're not going to get totally political, but just a little bit because money can be very political. I
Mhm.
want us, especially Black women, to have all the money at our disposal to be like, I'm backing this candidate. I'm
Mhm.
doing this. I believe in this program. I believe in that. Oh, you want to go to school and nobody can pay for it? Great. Me and my girlfriends are going to send you to school. Like,
Mhm.
I think that is so
Mhm.
powerful. And if
Mhm.
we can get over our money stuff and
Mhm.
over our mental health that's stopping us there, quite literally, I feel like the sky is the limit for us. So, that's the community part that I'm trying to get to. I'm like, let's get rid of
Mm,
all this baggage that is
yeah.
truly just weighing us down so we can do all the things that we want to do for ourselves, our family, our friends, and the larger community.
That's beautiful. And it's funny, I had another question. I was like, well, I'm not going to ask her because I want to leave space for some questions from the audience. So questions from the audience is get them ready because it's your time. But the question I was going to ask you was like, what does liberation look like to you when it comes to money? And you just like laid out all these pieces of liberation. And the even more beautiful part about it to me was like it was connected to the question about community, which leads me to a quote that I've been hearing over the last week in this book, which is that you cannot be free alone.
No. How
And
boring.
right, like you cannot be free alone. Like freedom and liberation is a collective and team sport. And you just like nailed that with the ways in which you talked about money and community and how clearly tied it was to like freedom and liberation for the collective. And so that was so beautiful. We
Couldn't have
could
planned
not have
it.
planned that out, right? Like, no, that was really beautiful. So you do have one question. Adiola says she's almost done with Feel Good Finances. Any additional books that you think will pair well with your book? Also, any recommendation for couples working through finances? Just got engaged. Congrats, Adiola. That's amazing.
Okay, so one book that pairs well, I'm like looking around because I have my finance books all over the place. If you are just getting started into money, hold on, let me Oh, there's many books, right? I love a Budgetnista book. Tiffany Aliche, love that book. I think that's very helpful. That pairs very well with my book as well. But another book that I don't think people talk enough about is Finance for the People by Paco de Leon. Um, this also takes more of a social justice lens on finance as well. And comes from, not everybody's family looks the same when we're thinking about money in general. So I think this is a great book that pairs well. So I always would recommend um, Tiffany Aliche, um, Get Good with Money, and then Paco de Leon, Finance for the People. And that's like we're going soup to nuts. Like we are in it. We are talking about our money. We're moving money. We're making a system. We're like that is like we're diving into our finances. And then any recommendations for couples working through finances, talk to each other, ad nauseum, get sick of each other, schedule a money date every single month from now until forever. Um, you two need to be building your finances together as well as separately. I believe fully in the your, mine, and ours approach. I think it's just very, very important and I won't just say women, I'll say both parties to have their own money in a sense. If something is going down in the relationship, I want you to be able to leave the relationship safely. And that is just the reality of life. And I don't want anybody stuck in a relationship because they can't afford to leave. And that's awful and does happen far more frequently to women. But please know what's going on with the money, know where the money is, know what's going on. And then good luck. If you guys keep talking about it and you're aware and getting financially naked, um, you'll be great.
So one other question, well, two. One is, how would you describe finances to your younger self? My kids, 7 and 8, tend to compare to each other. They believe they are better off because they are more frugal and less showy.
I mean, I'm like, keep that quality. I'm like, that's great. Like, that's a priority for you. I think that's how I kind of try to keep wording it. That's amazing that for you, you don't want to, and you can say it, you don't want to be showy, you don't want to be flashy. Where are your priorities? Somebody else's priorities might be, they want to be a little bit more, verbose, a little bit out there. I love that for them. But tell me about your priorities and why does it feel better that your priorities are here? So I would say, especially with kids, always lead with curiosity. And then follow up with like some of the education pieces. So sometimes it's like, oh, well, that's a priority for their family, or that's what their family does. This is what our family does. This is what our family prioritizes. This is what's really important to me. This is what our values are. And go from there. But I'm like, if they listen, especially in this capitalist society that we're living in, if they feel like they're better off because they're less showy, keep it, keep it. Real overconsumption is bad for the environment too. Go down that road. That is a positive road for them to be on. Um, yeah. And
You
then
also talked about supporting aging parents with their finances and maintain your own goals.
it's so, so hard. Support to the point that you can without sinking your own ship.
Mm,
You love them. Do not sink your ship trying to support them. Do not.
yeah,
I know, God, I know that's so painful. And people get very mad at me when I say this.
yeah,
But you cannot. And I would say that for anybody.
yeah,
It's harder when you have aging parents because you want to take care of them. But do not sink your financial ship. Like that, could mean, do they live with me? Do they live with a sibling? Do we switch back on and off? Like, what do we need to do? But do not sink your financial ship and talk to them as much as humanly possible about what their plans are, what they want, how you can honor them, what they don't have, and where the money is, especially if you're going to be somebody who has to manage it when, their
yeah.
time is at an end.
And there was one last one. I know you need to go. Any high yield savings accounts you recommend.
I love Ally. Listen, I wish Ally was paying me to say this. They're not, but I really love it. I think it's great. I think their rates are great. I like that you have the high yield in buckets. You can put it into buckets too, which is really nice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aja. This was so powerful, so meaningful. If you have not picked up Aja's book, Feel Good Finance, you can do that at where? Where do you recommend? Are we
Everywhere.
everywhere?
Yeah, get it wherever you get your books. Listen, I'm not going to hate on Amazon, but also shop small because we want bookstores to still exist.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Aja, for pouring into others, for taking your lessons and making them this amazing book. Thank you for showing up in this community the multiple times you have. We appreciate you. Have an
Happy.
amazing day. Thank you all. Have a great day. I hope you learned something, and let's keep talking about money.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, we are done with another amazing conversation with a dynamic woman who is bringing something beautiful to our community as business owners, as Black women. And we encourage you to support Aja Evans and her book, Feel Good Finance, and to stay connected with the Well and with this community, with the She's Well Network community. We do these conversations at no cost to you. We bring in speakers at no cost to you. If you are able, willing, committed to being in community, supporting community with us, you can certainly make a donation at sheswellnetwork.com. Sheswellnetwork.org. If you are, feeling good about just supporting this moment, we did provide books to those of you who attended Power Plays and those in our community. If you're interested in getting a copy of this book and you are in the Baltimore area, and we can get it to you at no charge, we can meet up somewhere. If you are somewhere else and you want the book, please do support Aja and purchase it. All right. Thank you all. Have a great, great day. Stay connected. Bring somebody else to the next conversation.